What's going on, guys? Wade here. We are out on a cemetery again to work on the stone of Christine Boehlke. This particular stone is leaning really significantly. So we're gonna get our tombstone jack out and get this back and leveled. It's a beautiful white marble stone and we just need to level it. And if we don't, it's gonna go over. We can see that the toppling point is already super high. So we need to get this back and leveled before it's on the ground. This is really sandy soil in this particular cemetery, so these have all sunk quite a lot, leaned a lot. It's just kind of an issue that they've got here in this particular area. Everything's out of level, there's trees everywhere, root systems cause things to heave, sink, etc. So kind of normal for this space, but you can tell this one's been sunken a fair bit as well. So we just need to get around here a little bit. We're gonna use the clamps on the tombstone jack on this one. So I need to just get down just far enough to be able to get those clamps on, which, because this is sunk in this corner, is a decent bet.
We know from our work that without a strong base, none of these would last. Everything here has a base. Some of them have additional fieldstone underneath them, some have concrete foundations. This really just has a little bit of rubble underneath it, nothing significant. And the soil here, it's very sandy and it's very prone to having these headstones lean. In this instance, this is a limestone base that is still nice and intact. It's not delaminating. There's no specific issues with it, but we need to level it. And without leveling it, this headstone will fall over. The tombstone jack that I'm using uses a clamping mechanism in this configuration. And by tightening these two clamps with a rubber membrane between the clamps, allows it to securely set itself against this limestone base. As a security blanket, I'm adding some crushed granite underneath this, so it's not back and level yet, but I want to add a little bit of security underneath here in case something were to slip. It's very secure, but I always want to have that safety precaution. So we're using this crushed stone compacted underneath the base in order to provide that backstop while we incrementally lift this up.
Sort of half a bubble out, and this way is spot on. Still almost half a bubble. I pulled this jack up because I want to reset this. I'm going to put a hardwood block underneath this one since I'm going to run out of a little bit of a lift on this particular jack. So I set this back down. I've been adding our crushed stone underneath here because I wanted to make sure that I could have a safety net should this want to wobble a little bit or something were to slip. It's pretty secure, no real issue there, but I really wanted to make sure that I had that gravel underneath there. So crushed stone, it's like 3/4 minus. There's a lot of fines in it, so it compacts super well. I'm gonna drop this block underneath here, and then we'll do some more lifting and fine tuning.
This is the grave of Christine Carolyn Wendt Boehlke, born in 1837 in Oldenburg, Germany. At the age of 22, she married Carl David Ludwig Boehlke, who went by Louis. They married in Mecklenburg, Germany in 1859. Just 1 year later, the children started arriving, 7 in total over the course of 16 years.
Perfect. Okay, so I brought this a little past level, like I've always done. I'm gonna be able to pack some gravel in there and let this compact itself. I'm gonna use a bar with kind of a sharp angle. Get super far underneath there. I'm compacting it with this bent angle right here. You basically just keep going until the bar won't push anymore. So you just keep at it, and you'll feel it provide resistance to you. Good. All right, so here's the cool part about what I can do with this jack. Because I've got clamps on it, I can actually lift each one of these individual levels. So typically I would just use my overhead hoist and that would be totally fine. No big deal. I didn't bring it out today because I knew I wouldn't need it. But if you only want one tool, this works super well because now I can clamp these pieces. I can get my monument setting compound, my lead wedge and so forth underneath that and join these pieces so I can do a full piece without needing extra tools. So this is going to work. We'll do that next level, so we'll get that set up.
Christine and Louis, in their early 30s, with a young family in tow, left for the US via the port of Hamburg, Germany, aboard the ship Prince Albert. They settled in Minnesota where they were farmers, and I'm quite sure they would appreciate the tool that I'm using here. It was leaning so heavily that I spent extra time during my initial inspection to make sure that it wouldn't topple while I was digging out the base.
Nice. All right, let's get this set up. They just fit. Nice. All right, we're gonna get our lead wedge cut. Do just like 1-inch pieces, thereabouts. Wedge, lead, very malleable, it'll crush. We just drop those in the corners. I'll cut 4 more pieces for the next section. We'll just leave those here on top until we need them. Don't leave me forget those. It just crumbles. You end up wasting a lot of this if you don't use it too frequently. Don't let me forget, my lead's up here. So you guys ask, do I do all the sides of the stone? Yes. This is the back. It's a really nice, it's a Georgia marble. There's really large grains to it. You probably won't be able to see it on camera, but that's kind of how you can tell different types of marble. I'm not sure of it, but it's likely. That's just how I've learned it, is that some of these larger grained stones that are white marble would be Georgia. If you know, and you know better than I, please let me know in the comments, but that's what I was told. I don't know if you'll be able to see this in this raking light, but there's a little bit of a tapestry that's draped over top of here. That's pretty cool. if you guys really like this type of work, this cemetery cleaning, and want to be around some other like-minded folks, you should join my Patreon. We've got a great group over there. It's a great community. You can help support some of these projects that I've got going on, help with the supplies and the travel expenses and so forth. It's pretty awesome, but for folks that really enjoy the cemetery conservation work, Patreon's where it's at. All right, so I use the Tombstone jack for the upper base, and you're asking me, well, what are we gonna do about the top? Well, if I was a vandal, you tip these over, right? You find the high point. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our shoulder into it. We're gonna lean on it. We're gonna get a little gap in there. We're gonna slide in a shim, and then we'll get it back up. We'll use leverage, I think. So now you're like, Wade, cool party trick, but now what are you gonna do for the rest? Well, we're just gonna use it incrementally. We'll get a bar, grab a corner, put it in further, and we'll get it up on 1/2 inch. Okay, so what I did is I've got fire hose here, and I've got a bar, and instead of chipping away the side of that with putting that pressure, I can put my bar inside the fire hose, and then I don't have any chippage there. So I was able to go on and get a 1/2 inch block. Looks like we need to do a little cleaning out, but now I'm up on 1/2 inch. I can work around that, clean it out real nice, and we'll be good. Okay, this looks really good now, but it's a little canted, so I need to make a little fine adjustment here. So as I look at this, it needs to come to the right just maybe 1/8 of an inch, maybe even as much as a 1/2 of an inch. It's on blocks right now, and so I'm just going to try and walk it over. Okay, so on my left wash, it's perfect. Maybe come back 1/8 on this corner. It's really close, really close. Let's get a low angle on it, one hand on the stone. All right, how many of you remembered where my lead is? Here. 4 pieces right in the corner. Up, no fingers. Out. Down. No fingers and down. This is a super shady spot, but I always like to seed after I'm done with the project. So. I think she looks good.